Hi, students. This is the sixth week, the last summary that you're going to have for this class. Welcome to Alaska. What you see behind you or behind me is the Pacific Ocean. So here we are at the base of Alaska, and I hope that you guys are having a lot of fun studying as I'm enjoying the Pacific Ocean. I want to welcome also to a friend I just found that will be taking home with me. This is the Alaskan Moose, Mr. Moose. So welcome here to Moose Country. All right, I have a few things to go over with you for this last week. The first one has to do with your timeline. Your timeline this week is going to be a summary of all the things you've done in regard to your lives. You started with an autobiography. That was kind of a general sketch. Then we got into the stages of development, and you learned how to take your own experiences and put them in the light of the stages of some of the theorists, such as Piaget and Erikson. All right, from there, this week you're going to be doing your whole life. However, this is not a cut and paste. I want to really emphasize that. You will not get full credit if you do a cut and paste. It is to be condensed again. You're always working on being more concise. And so be sure that you take the main incidents. But what I'm wanting are those theorists, those stages, Piaget, Kohlberg, and especially Erikson. Include some of the others if you want to. The more that you have of the direct, absolute connecting those dots between what you experienced and what the book says is the norm, that's what I'm basing your grade on. And that's where you're really learning how to put those things into practice when you have clients sitting in front of you and your mind is going to put those into the categories. You'll have that idea, this person has a lot of mistrust. I wonder what that stage in their life was like. Did they develop trust in those very first years of their life? So you are looking for those and how you put them in. Do not just state what the theorist said, then state your own experience. You've got to make a transition. You've got to say, okay, Eric said that this is a period of mistrust versus trust. In my life, trust was not really developed real well because, and then give very, very specific examples. And then how does that affect your life now? What do you see as having those long-term experiences? Go clear through the end of life, and wherever you are in life right now, I also want you to include that last part of kind of like an extrapolation that you would do in a graph of saying, what I know about the last stage of life, even about death and dying, my experiences, about what the book has said about that, about those other things that we've read, how does that affect me as far as when I look into the future? Do I see myself doing this? What are those experiences of my past? How are they going to be as I approach even the long-term end of my life? That's your timeline. As far as the final exam, short phrases. It does not have to be full sentences. If you copy long things from the book, you will not get full credit for the question, even if it's the right answer. I can look it up in the book, but I want you to be able to paraphrase. Tell me what page you got your answer from, at least the idea. Sometimes students have found a different answer, and if I can look it up and say, that makes sense here. I guess they just didn't quite get what I was asking, but it's okay. And I give you credit. So make sure you do that. I guess that's it. Just make sure that you don't carry on too long. The shorter, the better, as long as you really have answered the full question. Make sure if there are two parts to the question that you do answer that. If you do have questions, please email me. You can even call me, but since we are out of pocket, it's a little probably more difficult to get me by phone, although so far I have been able to receive phone calls. But if you will email me, that seems to be working fine. The Wi-Fi here is great. So once again, I thank you for your hard work. Thank you for letting me in for these 6 weeks on just a little bit of your lives, and to be so vulnerable that you were able to express what you've experienced as far as what that means in your life in order to be a counselor, in order to help others become also all that they were meant to be, going back to Psalm 139, that we want to become that originality, that person that God had in mind when we were created in that very first moment, that we become all that we can be. Thank you, students. Goodbye.